Good afternoon and welcome to another weekend here on the Grassroots Music Show with Stephen Ferrell on Another Radio Northeast. This week I am joined by Jade.
Hi.
We've obviously, if you listen to the show regularly, you will have heard Jade's music before. We play it quite often. But if you're listening and you haven't, let's play a track right now, and then we'll get on with the interview, I guess. So, I'm going to open with Jade. I should probably give you a chance to say something about this track, just in case there was anything you want to say before we play it. But
my name's Jade. I'm trans. This song's called Jade, so you can probably guess what it's about. When I was first playing this song before it came out, I was introducing it. People were thinking that it was a love song for a girl named Jade, and in a funny way, they were right.
So here we go.
Why don't we leave this place, just you and me? Get a house by the sea, sell our bodies on the street, save our souls for when we're free. Nobody will know where we've been, who we are. When we are we, he will become she will become me. We will be happy for the first time in our lives. Watch our body change, seasons come and go, in with new and out with old. We'll take our magic pills, don't want to say it's just cheap thrills, as we watch our flowers bloom. Nobody will know where we've been, who will be when we are we. He will become she will become me. We will be happy for the first time in our lives. Lavender, hide in black and white, until we become one, and then we'll say goodbye. Nobody will know where we've been, who we are, who will be when we are we. He will become she will become me, and I will be happy for the first time in my life.
And there you go. That was Jade, which was, how long ago did you release that? That was well over a year ago now, surely. That was
last December.
Not quite a year.
Last November.
November. Yeah, so I guess with that being, well, I guess you were making music way before you released that and stuff like that. So I guess we wanted to start was, how did it start in you for music, if you know what I mean? What were the early influences, and what like was it that like inspired you to make music and like become a performer? And
yeah, sure. So I think the biggest band that's influenced me and just been a massive fan of is a band called The Replacements. There's a whole Minneapolis scene from the 80s that kind of paved the way for Seattle, and bands like Soul Asylum, Husker Du, Babes in Toyland. I mean, like, I was obsessed with them, so I used to just, I wanted to do what The Replacements did, and I used to drink back then as well, and drinking was a big part of their thing. So I had a band when I was younger called The Regrets. And we're kind of very punky and very kind of like sloppy kind of like pop rock kind of stuff. And that was around Southeast London because I was living in New Cross at the time. It was around about the same time as like bands like Block Party and Art Brutal. We didn't quite get to the levels of those bands. I was actually thrilled once. Our last ever gig was in Camden, and one of my friends overheard somebody say they were the worst band I've ever seen. I was like, that's awesome. Like,
that's quite a compliment, I think. You know, and it's like,
best, like, you don't want to be like, at least they'll remember us.
That's the thing, like.
But yeah, we were a bit of a weird sort of hodgepodge. We had a bass player who wouldn't face the stage. He once took a mobile phone call during an acoustic song that I was just playing on my own. So I didn't even know until somebody told me at the time. So yeah, it was kind of like, oh, let's see if we can get drunk and play songs. And it's, yeah, you can play songs drunkenly because The Replacements did it, but you need to be really well practiced.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, but it was fun times, and but yeah, it's kind of, I mean, like, I think being in a band is super difficult. I'm in a band again now, but it's it took me a long time to want to go back to being in a band. I think like the hardest thing is trying to get the same people in the same room at the same time every week, and it's still been a struggle with my new band Dinky Passetti, but it's the solo thing just allows me to do things at my own pace. It's
a bit more flexible in terms of like, if somebody asks you if you want a gig, you just have to know if you're available and not like everybody else in the band. It's so
no, it's exactly, and I think there is obviously a benefit sometimes. I think, like, you know, when I've done some stuff with Aria or a bass player on my solo stuff, and it's really cool to have them kind of there and that backup of the bass and drums, and it kind of makes it more interesting for people. But yeah, it's just more freeing, and I can release songs when I want to, and like different styles and things like that. So it's we're hoping to progress the band a little bit more, but for it's certainly it's going to run alongside my solo stuff, I think.
Cool. So I'm going to play another one of your tracks right now, Katie Cubed.
Yeah.
If there's anything you'd like to say about this track, or?
This was the first song I put out as a solo artist back in 2016. And it's written about 3 different Katies, hence Katie Cube, but it's really a song about kind of not making the most of opportunities and kind of missing out because you're too afraid, and how anxiety can play a part and kind of really stop you living the life that you.
She was Leia, I was an Ewok. She was the daughter, the local doctor took me behind the back shed. Then she kissed me. Victoria said, I know what you've been doing. Now I wonder, does she miss me? That was how it went until I left that school. You know I always did. I always played the fool. But I was 8. Her name was Kate. was cold. She was an Eskimo standing at the train station. She had a father's nose, broken aquiline. She walked me home from work. It was the beginning of something, but I was such a jerk, turned it into nothing at all. I followed all a man's magazine, single guy rules, written by single guys for single fools. Yeah, I tried to play it cool. I didn't ask for a date, I didn't date Kate. She wore a summer's dress in my summer of drugs. Her big green eyes cured come down depression bugs. All over Glastonbury I searched high and low. She had the eyes of a girl I once dared unknown, with a Buddhist bracelets and a magic potions. She took my wrist, bound it with emotion, and I was a fool, tried to play it cool. Last time I'd seen those eyes, didn't even say goodbye. There left Kate. She didn't wait, and it feels like my whole life I've been missing out on Kate, and it feels like my whole life I've been running away from Kate, and it feels like my whole life I've been missing out on Kate, and it feels like my whole life I've been running away from Kate.
It's a really cool track.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to talk about next though is I guess, I mean, I suppose you could talk about like earlier gigs as well if you wanted, but I'm thinking more like stuff you've done like more recently, stuff like that, just how you find like gigging solo. But you can talk about band stuff as well, in terms of how you find breaking into the local scenes as like a solo performer, and some of your favourite gigs and stuff like that today.
Sure, yeah. It's a funny thing because prior to transition, I always wanted to play it live, but I was terrified of
Yeah.
it. I've got IBS, anxiety. It's like it was, I wasn't a very good performer because I was so nervous on stage. I'd get horrendous stage fright. And since coming out, that's completely changed. Like, I love being on a stage. I'll literally play here, there, anywhere, like anytime, anywhere. And some of the gigs that have been offered kind of like over the last couple of years have just kind of blown me away, really. So this year, I suppose the most recent one this year in terms of like a big one was I played Trans Visibility Day at Civic Centre outside, and it was the year anniversary of my coming out. It was freezing cold. I think I had 3 pairs of tights, some leggings, some like woolly knee socks, I wore a glove on one hand. It was under this little thing. So there was a lot of poets who were wonderful and speakers, and I was like the only musical act and finishing the event. And I went to play my last song, which is Turf Wars, which is going to be my new single, which I'm sure we'll mention later.
Yeah.
But and just as I went to play it, the generator failed, and it was kind of like it was one of those moments somebody suddenly produced like a megaphone.
Yeah.
And I just encourage people to come a little closer, because obviously the guitar needed to be it wasn't amplified or anything, and ended up singing into this megaphone to like people right up to my face, and people singing back to me. It was just one of those kind of wonderful moments, and I think it kind of showed the kind of that kind of never say die spirit of like not only the kind of trans community, but I think in kind of DIY music anyway, you know, too, as well, in terms of, you know, it's making the most of a situation and something happening, and just kind of like it made for a really memorable show, and it went really well. And it's kind of like, I think playing shows it's kind of, once you get shows, if you do okay, like from that gig I got 2 more gigs. So for instance, I got a gig at the Star and Shadow for Anarchy, for the Anarchist Book Fair.
Yeah.
As a result,
I was at that. That was
yeah,
it was a good gig.
No,
yeah,
thank you. Yes, it was a really good day. It was a shame it was so hot outside, but it was, playing in that lovely cinema room was fantastic. But Northumberland Pride put me on a bunch of gigs last year, which was fantastic. Their Pride on the Road series, and
I don't think they're doing a festival this year. I don't know.
No, they're kind of rebranding.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like the festival got cancelled last year. I was good because I actually came.
The lineup was amazing. It was like, I remember coming up, and it was like,
I was looking forward to playing with so many acts that was just like local favourite acts like Holly Reese and El Divine and Time Wasters and stuff. And I was like, oh no! And I'd actually came out on social media through that festival with a poster, and then it got cancelled. But it kind of turned out okay, because I got the Pride on the Road series. I played in Alnwick and Blythe. Like Alnwick was in Alnwick Gardens, playing in front of like that big fountain outside on a sunny day, and all this like it was a Mr. Gay Day parade. So all these like, it was a beauty contest for like drag queens and gay guys, and it was just such a good vibe, and played to like the biggest audience I'd ever played to at the time. Yeah. And I had an ear infection, so I couldn't even hear anybody clapping, so couldn't hear myself. So like I was told it went down well, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you did mention some of the local artists there, but I guess I know you go to quite a lot of gigs and stuff like that. So I wonder like who are some of your favourite mainly on the grassroots level, I guess, like local grassroots artists. Who are some of your favourites you've come across?
I'm a total fangirl. I'm average about a gig a week or something. So it's but yeah, there's a bunch of local artists. Kind of like Fiona Liquid is just amazing.
Yeah, Fiona Liquid's definitely
so good live. Like such a presence. Just kind of like mind blowing, really. Sorority Girls are kind of. I love that kind of riot girl scene. That's kind of what influences my band, and it's I kind of seeing them. I just think that must have been what it was like seeing Bikini Killer Babes in Thailand when they were starting out, and they're so young and yet so good. It's like kind of frightening.
There's a lot. There's like recently there's been like this real like, maybe I'm just getting older. It's just like there's like a lot of like really good, really young bands suddenly just emerged, and like it's
kind of like this part of it is just wonderful, and then there's the part of it thinking like, oh my god, if I was starting out at that age now, like
how good would you be?
But it's got like the world ahead of them. But like music's changed so much. I'm kind of like glad I'm a bit older, because like, you know, I'm still into CDs and vinyl and kind of growing up now, and it's just kind of like Spotify doesn't really, you know, I'm very old school in that sort of sense. So like I love my 7 inches and vinyl and everything. So there's not that around, and it's weird. There's kind of so many bands around. I guess it's kind of hard to get noticed. Yeah,
there is that as well. It's like it's a. I mean, I guess it depends what say you look at. A lot of the barriers to getting involved have come down, which is good.
Yeah.
Then it does, but it also means there's a lot more. I mean, for someone that likes to go and see gigs, that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
But if you're like in the band and you're trying to break out and stuff like that, it's about much more difficult, I guess. But
yeah, because there's a lot of.
But then I don't know. I've got like different thoughts on this, because you've also got the thing where like there used to be really big label gatekeepers, like they were deciding what got through, and although it is more competitive, like I don't know if it's competitive, right, but there's a lot more music about. At least everybody's got that opportunity to put that music out, so I like that, and I could say all sides of this, but it's
it's sort of it's good to have that DIY. It makes more bands DIY, which is great.
Yeah.
It's, people talk about money in music now in terms of what you get played on Spotify, but even CDs back in the day, I think artists got £1 out of.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of that money that went to them, they then paid back to the label for recording them.
So it's never been fair to the artists. It's just kind of like even more so now, I guess.
Yeah.
Bands now face so many issues with things like Brexit and visas and stuff now. So it's hard, but it's what I really like as well as local bands is like collectives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So people like Tyne and Queer and Canny Queer who've put me on a bunch of times, and then they're kids as well, and they're really doing these little startup things, which are just fantastic. Cause the music scene needs it. Like
absolutely.
The music scene over the last few years.
Well, there's a certain there was a certain dominant force that lost its dominance not that long ago. It has actually created like a real space for lots more stuff to happen.
And they ran a lot of venues, didn't they? So it's, I actually used to write for Gigs North East a few years back, and did like gig reviews and stuff for them, and it's I don't really know I never saw anything personally. I know some people who've kind of said some things, so I'm happy to take their word for it, but yeah, it's just a shame, because I mean obviously you had like COVID and everything, which obviously affected the music industry. You've got the Tories who affected the music industry, and you just don't want other things. You don't need other barriers in the way. There's already enough kind of issues.
It's cool. So I'm going to play another track from you now, which is and that was all that she wrote. I guess you have things to say about this track as well.
It's it was kind of like it was the last single I released under my dead name. So in my previous, when I was still in disguise before my superpowers were revealed, and it's the first song that directly. I had other songs that address gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were very subtle. People don't really realize, and that was all she wrote. It was the first song that really kind of that really addressed it. And there was a lovely review of it in Any Volume magazine, I should point out, which got it. There was one other review that just thought it was a love song, and it's just kind of funny when you see like reviews of your songs and they're like, miss the point.
It's interesting. I think it probably some of the old songwriters getting that. However you write a song, you're gonna have your meaning, but people are always gonna have their own meaning. Yeah,
and I don't want to take that away from people. If I think Bob Dylan said like somebody said this song by him was like wonderful and it changed their life, and he said I wrote that about my dog. But whatever you take from music, that's great as long as it's something positive. So. But yeah, I think that review from Any Volume kind of snowballed a lot, because the organisers for Northumberland Pride kind of saw that at the kind of time I was releasing and everything, so it was things kind of went from there in a way. So yeah, big nod out to them. Thank you to them.
So here we go. This is And That Was All That She.
Dancing without a
So next I wanted to talk about we've talked a lot about things that you've done, and now I want to talk a bit about, I guess we could say, things you're about to do.
Okay.
So maybe talk a little bit about what you've got coming up, and like at the end of this little section we are going to play as your unreleased track, exclusive, which is really cool. But so we'll talk a little bit about that as well, I guess. But what else before that? Have you got game careers and things?
So I've got, like, last year I played the B scene stage at Northern Pride, which was amazing. It was like a little tent. I was kind of the only guitar act on with a lot of drag queens, which was really funny. And that went down really well. And then this year I've been asked to play the main stage at Northern Pride, which is
really cool,
mind blowing. Sporty Spice was on that stage last year. That's kind of like, whoa. So I got asked by Stephen to play, who'd seen a couple of performances and stuff, Transvisibility Day, and I had to keep it secret, which was the hardest part for a few weeks. So my mum knew. Hi mum, by the way. I need to say hi to my mum because I know she's listening. And yeah, where was that? And yes, I'm playing, so it's 1:30 for just 15 minutes set. It's like short but sweet. So and I know the march is at 12, so just if you're going to be on the march, try and get in quickly to see me at 1:30. And obviously there's a lot of other acts. Freddie Lewis, who I've done a gig with in Durham, is also on the bill. They're fantastic. Just that's obviously mind blowing to me to be on that stage. And then the other one is just as mind blowing because it's Pop Rex in Sunderland on the 5th of August, I want to say. And that was a gig put together by Holly Reese, who's one of my other favourite local acts. Holly is just wonderful, and
Holly comes up like a lot of these shows. So many people think it's just wonderful.
I'm like huge fan.
Yeah.
And, like now I've like got to meet her a few times, and she's just lovely.
Holly's great. Like I've not seen Holly live since she'd gone to Canada and was just doing just before before lockdown maybe, but since she's come back I've never seen her live since then. But I used to go to a lot of Holly gigs years ago. So
I'd seen her before she went away, and when she came back you could tell like what a good experience playing those.
Well, you can hear in the music like the change in the sound, and it's
one of my favourite acts is Lydia Lovelace, who's like an American kind of country singer, like kind of replacements influenced, and Holly Reese, like I can see that kind of angle. Pop Rex, and that's also the headliner is a band called Dream Nails, who are just I travelled down to see Dream Nails on the Megabus like last year, like overnight, just to see them. They're a queer feminist DIY punk band who are just check them out please, because they're wonderful, and to be on the same bill as them is just a dream, really. Dream Nails, it's a dream. But it really is,
And I guess what we're going to talk about next, and it kind of feeds into the fact we're going to play your next release pretty soon, is a little bit about how the songwriting process works for you, and like how, and I guess probably with us about the new one, how it maybe changed over time. Has it changed?
It has, I think obviously it's quite confrontational, and its title alone, it's called Turf Wars. I've been playing it live for a while, and obviously it does get a reaction, generally a positive one, because I'm playing events where a lot of the gigs I do are kind of queer events, so it's people like, ooh, like that's so it's but I think when I wrote it was, I understand more about different things, and I think kind of there was an aspect where I really didn't want it to be misunderstood. To me, like, feminism should be intersectional. It's and transphobes are preaching the patriarchy, and that's I couldn't fit the word patriarchy into it as much as I tried. But I kind of didn't want the word feminist in there, because to me it's just not feminism, and so the chorus kind of changed, and it's like we all know what TERF is, kind of the abbreviation of it is, but in the song I kind of changed it to say what they actually are, because there's nothing feminist about it. yeah, it's kind of the song that's gonna. I'm in two minds. I'm not in two minds. I want to put it out, but it's one of them things where it's like, yeah, there could be heat, but you know.
I think we should listen to it. So
yeah, it's important. I think like I hope it sort of people understand that it's there is an attempt to sort of empathize there as well and try and understand. I don't like kind of extremism or militancy. Like, I think you need to be able to hear both sides of a story and unfortunately transphobes generally aren't prepared to do that. So
keep your friends by, but your enemies in sight. Sometimes you find your friends aren't on your side when their words are all kind, but you read between the lines, see their true colors. If you bury your head in the sand, then they'll bring your castle down. This ain't just you that they've got in their target. It's your friends and allies. They want hugging the market. They're preaching intolerance that's born out of fear. There's no safe space for you if you ain't just like them. There's no path. Stop. Don't go. Exclusionary, reactionary, fascist. They deny your existence, your true self and rights. They don't see past their own struggles and fights. They've fought persecution and now persecute. If you have no room, then they want to burn you alive or dead. They just don't care. And the left will eat itself and the right will be left behind to spit out the pieces of the good and the kind. So come all my sisters and my brothers too. This is more than about me, more than about you. It's about transition, it's about love. You're either with or against me. Let's all rise above. Exclusionary, reactionary, fascist. Exclusionary, reactionary, fascist.
So that's it's quite a different sound, I think, just like to a lot of your other stuff. So
it's I mean, I do quite a bit of upbeat stuff solo, and it's but it is one of the songs that I do with the band as well. I tend to like kind of keep the sort of songs separate a bit, but because we haven't gigged yet as a band, it's kind of frustrating not to play the songs live, so I end up playing like sometimes they work, sometimes our new single like Kissed a Boy I played live yesterday and goes down funny because of a line about like deleting Tinder and installing Grindr, which people are always tickled by. But yeah, it's obviously the politics of that song I think calls for like a kind of in your face kind of brash, like very but my friend David, who played lead guitar on it, he recorded me in an album for me a few years ago, and he's a multi-instrumentalist and super talented. And yeah, like that lead guitar part, I was actually dancing to it. I had, like, you're not gonna see that on the radio, but it's the first time I think I can do a TikTok video to one of my songs. So it was a little bit different, but it's I think that's good because they're singles and it's not like an album kind of thing to be a bit different.
So I guess what I wanted to move on to talk about next is we've talked a little bit about what you've got coming up and your next release and stuff like that, but what are your longer term plans? Where would you like to go with this? And
I mean, like there's a big part of me that's just telling myself to try and enjoy it as much as I can at the time, like playing these kind of, like, I played Teesside Students' Union Pride event yesterday and things like that, and it's just try and make the most of it. But yeah, I mean, the ultimate aim, I'd love to be able to quit the day job, but it's a long way off, and you know, it's very difficult in the music industry. I'm not, like, under any illusion there, and I'm limited in my talents as a musician, to say the least. But I remember a couple of years ago, and it was my friend Samantha, who's like one of the first people I came out to, and we were really drunk, and it was the time before I came out to her, and she said, "Oh, where do you see yourself in like 10 years time?" And prior to transition, I didn't have those kind of, like, I didn't look to the future. I didn't really, like, see a future that interested me.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, like, bluffed an answer. And then when she left, I wrote down, I was like, I want to be on tour with my Riot Girl band, which I didn't have at the time.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on tour with my Riot Girl band, playing somewhere in Europe or in the Midwest America, and just hoping to sell enough T-shirts to be able to sleep somewhere and eat that night, which I don't think is a big dream. I mean, like, it is a big dream, but it's obviously, you know, like, there's struggle in that dream as well. Course, yeah. It's like, even in my dreams, I'm struggling. But yeah, that was kind of, I remember just thinking that, you know, that always stuck with me, and I eventually told her that was it. And then a few months later, I had my Riot Girl band, and then, like, you know, now playing gigs and stuff. So it's kind of and doing these wonderful gigs solo. So it's still a dream, but that's kind of where it is. I think that stems back to still that Replacements, being a fan of the Replacements. There was a picture of them in their tour van, and there was just all these empty bottles all over the van, and I don't drink anymore, but that's still, I saw that picture and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to tour. That's the ultimate thing. I just want to tour. You know, I'd very much love a life where I'm just living in and out of a suitcase or a backpack. I love to travel, so combining music and travel would be a dream. But ultimately, like, an album as well. Obviously, I want to release an album as soon as possible, and it's
an interesting thing with albums now, because, like, a lot of people just don't listen to albums. I sort of understand why. I do kind of, but I like albums. Yeah. But I do understand, like, the way people listen to music now. Maybe it's not the thing you go for, but
yeah, it's because I'm very old school, I guess. And, you know, the album, some people say the album's dead, and, you know, you get filler on an album. I mean, my favorite bands didn't put filler on albums.
It's usually quite often what people call fillers is, like, the more interesting tracks, though, you know, and the ones that it's not going to, like, doesn't have, like, necessarily mass chart appeal.
Yeah.
But that means they can do something interesting. Yeah. So, you know, so
I mean, I say there's no filler on my favourite bands. My favourite album is Let It Be by The Replacements, and they've got songs called Tommy Gets His Tonsils Out and Gary's Got a Boner, which are kind of they're not the best tracks, but, you know, it's still, I like the flow of an album.
Yeah,
it's the same as when you get, like, a longer set to, like, put together, and you can put, like, a, you know, it peaks and troughs and kind of up and down, and, like, change people's moods and kind of, like, take people to a sort of dark place here, but then, like, bring it back with a lighter song there, or, like, you know, whether it's about getting your tonsils out or something. But I would love to do an album. It's obviously I've done one before, and it was kind of there was, like, I'm glad it's out there. It's under my dead name, but I really re-released those songs with a compilation called Lost in Transition. But it is a difficult process, and it is kind of getting the right sounds. And I think playing live with the band again has made me want to do more live stuff than kind of programmed beats and things like that on it. which is what we did with Turf Wars. So it's, yeah, but it is still there will be an album someday.
Let's go. So I'm going to play another one of your tracks right now. This is Face Upon a Wall. I can't pronounce the next bit.
Voltisao. Voltisao, yeah.
So what does it mean? Was it?
So this is my mum's favourite track, by the way. So hi mum again. It's so Knock magazine in a review described it as niche politics. So it's basically about a young Vietnamese girl who
you told the story on stage before. I do know the story.
Who basically fought against the French in colonialism times. And she was executed. And I was in Vietnam and I saw this picture on the wall, like the face upon a wall, and of this kind of young girl who was, executed for being a terrorist in her own country, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just trying to look at it as on a personal level about what led her to be in that position, and like. The final lines, I'm gonna forget the lyrics now. I will not. What's the final words? I'll say that bit after this.
Okay.
Where do you get your strong beliefs? Strong enough to be willing to die? Or your heartbeat on your sleeve? But you were only just a child. Now you're a face on a wall. Heroin, martyrdom. Now you're a face on a wall. Still sing that marching song. Guns, grenades, your first toy. Playground fight on a battlefield. Did you fall in love with Soldier Boy? Patriot that never yields. Now you're a fade on a wall. Heroin, martyrdom. Now you're a fade on a wall. Still sing that marching song. Your face, eyes wide open, age 19. Stared down the barrels, they took aim. Sang your way into history. Now you're a fade on a wall. Heroin, martyrdom. Now you're a fade on a wall. Still sing that marching song. I only know how to stand. I do not know how to kneel. I only know how to stand. I do not know how to kneel. I only know how to stand. I do not know how to kneel. I only know how to stand. I do not know how to kneel.
So there you go, and we're kind of, I guess, we're in the last little section of the interview now. So, what I wanted to give you a chance to do really is, like, for anybody that's been listening, if they really like your music, if they want to keep up to date with what you're doing, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, like I'm on all the socials, Jade Mia Broadhead or Jade Mia Broadhead Music, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, all of that kind of stuff that I have to bite my kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I can't be putting out a 7-inch yet, so it's still going on Spotify. But yeah, I see the benefits of it as well as the drawbacks. But yeah, I'm certainly on all of the regular places. Jade Mia Broadhead.
Cool. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, like in terms of the recording of that new single, Dave Curl at First Avenue has been super amazing, kind of recording some stuff. Like he recorded like with Dinky Beside, my band, first, and I did some solo stuff with him. He told me he'd recorded Kaniki in the past, and I was like, that was enough for me, quite frankly. And also my friend David Platt, who played guitar on it, who's just an amazing musician, and my friend Freya as well, because she did the production on Jade, on the single
cool.
Jade. She's a super talented musician, and Aria, the bass player in my band, and hopefully Chris, our new drummer, in Dinky Beside.
It sounds really cool. So I am gonna end the interview with playing one more of your tracks here. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
But first, I'd like to thank you for coming in. It's been great to hear more about your music and stuff like that. And so thanks for coming in. And we're going.
Thank you, and thanks to you, and also a shout out to everyone at the Globe.
Yeah, of course.
Because oh my god, that place is those people are. It's a safe space. It's a kind of like it's a home from home. I don't think I would be like doing what I'm doing musically if it wasn't for our little no-go crowd that we had. It was like an online open mic night through lockdown, which kept everybody sane, and it was playing music to each other and writing new songs for each other, but also became like a self-help support group as well. And obviously that has become the sort of Globe crowd on a Wednesday that Stephen's very aware of, and makes us all sound really a lot better than we really are.
All I ever got from you was a nod to say goodbye.
the middle